Hi, I'm Bill, and in this video, we are going to explore triad patterns on one string. So these are non-consecutive finger patterns that are the foundation for harmony. So in a prior video, when we went over linear note patterns on one string, we were talking about 5 notes, which was this. That was the major pattern, and then we were doing a minor pattern as well, which is this. And just to remind you that we are using note numbers to go along with the letters. So that would be open, would be the first note. So think of it as the beginning of a scale. So the open string would be 1, and then so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what we're doing in the triad pattern is we're not playing the linear pattern, we are playing only some of the notes in that pattern. We're only doing 1, 3, and 5 because this is going to be the basis for harmony. So this is going to be 1, 3, 5. So the open string is 1, and then 3, 5, 3, 1. So that's major. So how do you know major and minor? So the key interval is between 1 and 3. So when you're doing intervals, when you're talking about intervals in terms of harmony, if you use the note numbers, for instance, if you go 1, 2, the interval is a second, so it's the number of the note you're going to that determines what the interval is named. So in that case, you're going 1 to 2, so that's a second. When you're going that's 1 to 3, that is a third. So that's going to be a critical interval here when we're talking about the foundations of harmony. So remember that. So we have a third between the first note and the third note in that sequence. So that's a third. So we're talking about 2 different thirds in this video. So the first one we're talking about, that is a major third. So a major third means that you have 2 whole steps in that interval between 1 and 3. So you have whole step, whole steps. So how do you know that those are whole steps? Well, you have silent intervals, half steps in between. So if you're going 1 to 2, you have 2 options. You have either a whole step or a half step. So in this case, here's your silent interval, which is a half step, and then there's your whole step. So that's your whole step. So if you're going 2 to 3, you want another whole step for your major third. So that's your whole step. And again, if you want to know why that's a whole step, is that you have a silent interval between 2 and 3, which is the half step. There's your half step. Whole step. Whole step. So then you have whole step, whole step. Major third. So that's your major third, which is those two whole steps. So when you're talking about a triad, you're talking about 1, 3, and 5. So the major triad, which is 1, 3, and 5, is 2 whole steps between 1 and 3, and then you have a minor third between 3 and 5. So this is what it would be. And so why would the distance between 3 and 5 be a minor third? It's because if you go 3, half step, whole step, half step. So you have a whole step and a half step in that third. So that is a minor third. A major third is 2 whole steps stacked on each other. A minor third is a whole step plus a half step. So it's a half step lower in that third. So that's why. Half step, whole step, half step. So that's why the third to the fifth is a minor third. So this is your major triad, which is whole step, and then you have your whole step plus your half step for the third on top. So now for your minor triad, you have those thirds reversed. So your third from the open to so from 1 to 3, you have whole step plus a half step. So this is, there's your whole step, half step, so your whole step, silent half step, whole step, and then your half step. So, and here's your whole plus your half step. Then going from 3 to 5, there's your whole step. So that's because there's a silent interval in between. So your silent interval would be half step, whole step, and then whole step. So again, you have between 1 and 3, you have a whole step plus a half step, which is a minor third. And then between 3 and 5, you have 2 whole steps, which is a major third. So your major triad is going to be major third with minor third on top. And then your minor triad is going to have your minor third on the bottom and your major third on top. So these are building blocks for harmony that you'll learn later. And again, you can learn all of this in much more depth in my Bill's Play Free Violin Method, which is linked in the description to my website in this video. So if you want to get into more depth on this, I have joined me in my Play Free method. I go through this in much more detail. and much more slowly, so you get a much better feel for harmony, and I expand a lot on this in my method. So I have monthly membership options where you can start, you can subscribe and you can cancel anytime after a month if you decide you wanted to start, but then later you decide you don't want to continue with it for some reason. You can cancel anytime, but you would have the opportunity to see the greater detail that I go into with this in my method, if you're interested in taking a deeper dive into all of this. So I hope that you will find this useful, and I will look forward to seeing you in another video.